Hello everyone, well back for another video. This time we're doing not Westfield or kitcar content, but we're looking at Porsche 996, sort of bit of a buyer's guide, tips kind of thing. My sort of experience with them as well as an owner of a couple. I currently own a 996 Carrera 4S, and I've had a Carrera as well before. So I guess you're here because you either have one or you think about getting one. Hopefully this guide can just give you just a few tips, things to look out for, things to consider on your journey, because you know it's quite cool to get a Porsche, isn't it? To have a Porsche key ring and everything like that, you get a bit of a buzz. The ownership experience can sometimes not have that buzz, so it's good to go into it sort of wide-eyed to know what to expect. So what have we got first? Models. We've got the Carrera, which is a two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive car. We've got a Carrera 4, which is a four-wheel drive car. We've got a Targa. What else? We've got a Carrera 4S. We've got a Turbo, and we've got a GT3. I'm not going to go into too much detail on the GT3 models because they're quite complex in themselves. That's probably better left to someone with more experience with GT3s. So you've got kind of two generations almost of the 996. You've got the 996.1 and the 996.2. The 996.1 has specific headlights that were always referred to as the fried egg headlights. I hate the term, I think it's stupid, but people can't get it out of their heads, so I don't know what the issue is. But they have a large sort of amber indicator part of the headlight unit, and for some reason somebody with really bad eyes thinks they look like a fried egg. I mean, it looks like a headlight to me, but yeah. I get what they mean though, you know, I'm kind of playing here a little bit, but a lot of people don't like it. I don't understand why. It is of its time. So these are the early model 996s, and they're referred to the 996.1, and they had the fried egg style headlights. You then have the 996.2, which had a facelift at the front. They have the kind of like 996 turbo headlights. In my opinion, they do look better, those front headlights. They get rid of the amber colour. They just look more sporting in my opinion. Engine-wise, you've got the Carreras have 3.4 litre. We talk about 996.1 now. They have a 3.4 litre horizontally opposed flat six engine, 300 horsepower. And that applies to the Carrera 4, and the Targa at 996.1 sort of guys. You've then got the 996.2, which has a 3.6 litre engine. So a bit of a capacity increase and has 320 horsepower, a little bit more torque, bit better mid-range, but a little bit heavier as well. So in terms of the 996.2, you've got the Carrera again, rear-wheel drive, the Carrera 4, four-wheel drive, Targa again, Carrera 4S, which is a wide body. It uses the same wide body as the Turbo. You've also got the 996 Turbo, which only came in 996.2 guys, and that comes with 415 horsepower. So what's best for you really is sort of dependent on what you'd like to get out of a Porsche. The only thing I would say is don't think that a Porsche is the ultimate driving experience ever. If perhaps you're coming from a Toyota Camry, or you're coming from a Vauxhall Vectra or something sort of generally quite mainstream, a 996 generation 911 is going to feel fantastic. It's going to feel ace. You know, you're going to feel brilliant, and that's fine. However, if you've come from perhaps like a more JDM car background, you've had Impreza STIs, Evos, things like that, you might be a little disappointed in terms of straight line speed and how they drive. That's just being honest. I have come from that background. I've had quite a varied background. I've had Sierra Cosworths, Impreza STIs, Evos, Lotuses, all sorts of bits and pieces. The 996, at least not in the GT3 guys, is not a scalpel amazing fastest sports car you could ever imagine. It is of its time. So back in the 90s and early 2000s, it was amazing. But is that standard still sort of, does it suit a sports car name now? I'm not entirely sure sometimes. Why do I say that? I know some of you guys will be screaming at the screen now. I'm just being realistic here. For me, I've had a lot of focused cars, close ratio gearboxes, very light, very nimble, and my experience with Porsches has been good, but I wouldn't say it's my favourite, most amazing car I've ever had yet. I'm just being realistic here. Why do I say that? For me, I have recently got the Carrera 4S, I say recently, last few years. That's 320 horsepower, so it's 996.2 with a 3.6 engine, 320 horsepower, and it's a 6-speed, the only gearbox you should ever get. We'll talk about that later. And it weighs a lot. The Carrera 4S has the turbo wide body, so you've got extra weight with that. It also had the turbo brakes and turbo suspension. They tip the scales between, I don't know in pounds, I'm afraid. Apologies for international viewers, but sort of in kilograms, 1470, 1500, 1550 kilograms. And when you work out the power to weight ratio, that's not that hot, that's not that great. Then add relatively, in my opinion, long gearing. So even in the 6-speed manual gearbox, I think it's got relatively long gearing. It's not a massively close ratio gearbox. 3rd to 4th is quite good. But sort of going through the gears, it doesn't have the snickety-snick real close ratio where you're hardly dropping any revs. It's not always on the boil. So as a result, you've got a bit of weight and you've got slightly long gearing. That's in the Carrera 4S, that's my experience. On the flip side, I think it's the best 996 body style you can get. The wide rear arches, the turbo front bumper and everything, turbo style wheels, not exactly the same wheels as the proper turbo, by the way. The 996 turbo had hollow spoked wheels, which are lighter, whereas the Carrera 4S has solid spoke, but turbo style wheels. If you can get hold of them, get genuine turbo wheels with hollow spokes on a Carrera 4S, it'll drop a bit of weight. It's reciprocating weight as well, so you'll feel the benefit of that. But yeah, we're getting sidetracked there. In my opinion, the Carrera models are the best buy. They're the lightest. The 996.1 3.4 litre Carrera rear-wheel drive one is around 1300, 1310, 1320 kilograms. That's light. That's really light. If you're wanting to sort of do some track days and things like that, get some lighter seats and things like that, lose a little bit of weight, that's the one to go for. Same with the 996.2 Carrera with a 3.6 and 320 horsepower. It's a slightly meatier engine. It has a little bit more mid-range grunt. Both have different styles. I would say try and drive each one if you can. See which you prefer in terms of the 3.4 or the 3.6. It's entirely up to you. I'm not going to go into the whole IMS reliability, RMS reliability, all that sort of stuff, because there are loads and loads of videos you can look at that. You can do some in-depth research yourself. That's a whole video in itself. This is just a general buyer's guide. So do your research, look into the IMS bearing issue, the bore scoring issues, the rear main seal issues, things like that. They're separate videos for you to go and have a little look into. I'm not going to go into that right now because we'd be here all day. So yeah, I would recommend the Carrera models personally. Lighter, they have better steering feel. They feel a bit more pure, in my opinion. Now, if you, for example, love the Carrera 4S, but you wanted to have some of that base model sort of magic that they had, you can have the front differential and shafts removed, so it just becomes a rear-wheel drive car. That takes a good chunk of weight out of it, improves the steering feel a little bit, goes a little bit lighter. Your straight line speed is a little bit better in terms of in-gear acceleration. You're dropping that weight because they are porky cars, the Carrera 4S, unfortunately. And yeah, it's what some 996 Turbo guys do as well. They go just rear-wheel drive only because the 996 Turbo, again, an amazing car, 415 horsepower. I love them, but again, they're quite heavy in terms of that age. I know that we have a completely new term of what is heavy nowadays with M5s and everything, modern M5s weighing over 2 tons and everything. But I'm talking of that age, relatively heavy. 996 Turbo can be like 1,550 kilograms. Again, I don't know what that is in pounds, I'm afraid. Apologies to everyone, but there are calculators online. You can quickly sort of Google that. Yeah, so some of the 996 Turbo guys will get rid of the four-wheel drive, get rid of the front drive, and drop a little bit of weight. They're already in a good position in that they have a lot of horsepower and they can up it quite easily. Whereas the Carrera models, the normal base models, the naturally aspirated non-turbo models, getting more power from them is not easy, actually. You'll see reports of some people having them remapped, having improved sort of plenums, inlet plenums, exhaust manifolds, exhaust systems, and claiming certain power gains. A lot of the time, it's all a bit wishy-washy. Unless you come across a video where somebody has said, look, here's my Carrera, I'm going to do a tune on it, I'm going to do a base level draggy test or quarter mile test, and then we're going to do one afterwards, where you can see a genuine improvement in performance. That's the only thing I would really sort of trust personally. They're not easily tuned, they're not a tunable car, I wouldn't have said. They're also occasionally a little bit of a pain in the arse. Why do I say that? Okay, you've got this lovely Carrera, you bought this, let's say you've bought a 996.2, 3.6 Carrera, brilliant, good choice. You want to put some nice exhaust manifolds or headers on there, some performance headers. You go and have a look, and all of the bolts will have rusted. Most likely, if it's a UK car, some of the guys in America do pretty well because you don't put salt on so many of your roads. I know some states do, but you know the states where they don't put salt on the roads, you'll probably be okay. But for people in the UK, you're guaranteed to have a nightmare getting an exhaust manifold changed. The bolts rust, they can snap, and then have to sort of drill up into the cylinder head. It all gets a little bit risky. We're then getting into like the real ownership of a 996. A lot of components in terms of like suspension are aluminium that then have steel bolts going through them. As a result, aluminium and steel, or iron, whatever bolt material it is exactly, it reacts. There's corrosion. Every bolt will be a pain in the bum to remove, I'm afraid to say. Like in terms of my experience in the UK, where some salt corrosion's got in, every bolt either corrodes really badly or it's really hard to remove from aluminium housings. So any job where you think about improving your suspension, putting new suspension arms, things like that, just allow extra time, because they're just a bit of a pain sometimes. But every car has that. Let's be honest. There are no cars you can buy which aren't a pain in the arse. There's always something. BMWs constantly bong at you with engine lights and things like that. They're very finicky. So many cars have issues with wet belts or timing chains. You know, every type of car has got its own sort of pain in the arse element to it. It's just how much you're willing to sort of put up with it or sort it out. That's entirely up to you. Okay, let's go on a more positive spin now. What is it like to own a 996? It's great fun. Will you always have that park up the car, walk away from the car, and look back at it feeling? Yes, that I get that a lot of the time. I'll park it up, walk away, and you're straight away looking back at it. They're nice looking cars. You know, it is a gorgeous shape. It's enjoyable to look at, enjoyable to wash. I always think you kind of fall in love with a new car the first time you wash it. When you go over the body lines and things like that on a Porsche 911 and 996, like the body lines are really nice. It just feels like a proper sports car in terms of its silhouette and everything. You sit quite low. The controls are good. Yeah, it is an amazing experience, really. But just have those eyes wide open. That you will probably need what I would call a slush fund. That means like a Bork fund, however you want to sort of say it, basically, and if it goes wrong, fund. So I would say, for example, in the UK, let's say you've got a Carrera 3.6, a 996.2, and you bought it for £15,000, I would, at a minimum, want maybe 5 to 7.5 grand put in a separate savings account for doing jobs on it. Without that, you're just going to be running it into the ground. It's not going to get the right attention that it needs. While they can be relatively cheap to buy, they still have a relatively high maintenance cost. This can be improved by doing jobs yourself, and that's a good element of 996 ownership, in that there's loads of guides. Looking on YouTube, if you want to put like a new window regulator in, anything like that, you want to put exhaust manifold in, you want to do a real main seal, an IMS bearing, there are videos showing how to do these sort of things. And that sort of element of backup, including forum backup, really makes a difference to your ownership. If you've got something that's extremely rare, it's not starting, there's some sort of issue, you have a little Google and you have a little look, and nothing's coming back, it can make the ownership experience just a little bit tiresome. Whereas like with a 996, there's a lot of people have had them, there's a lot of experience, there's quite a few specialists as well. Getting it sorted, getting it repaired is quite doable. So yeah, I would say if I was to buy one again, I'd go for 3.6 996.2 Carrera 2 with a 320 horsepower engine that had an IMS bearing replaced and had had a recent bore score check. Again, that's something you need to research yourself in terms of bore scoring, IMS stuff. I'm not going to go into that. There are engineering companies that have done very in-depth videos about that. I recommend that you look at that sort of thing and do your research before buying a 996. But it would either be that, yeah, the 996.2 Carrera, good horsepower, good mid-range in 6-speed guys, or the 996 Turbo, again in 6-speed guys. Why do I keep saying in 6-speed, sort of why the 6-speed version? In my opinion, the Tiptronic box is probably okay if you're in a position where perhaps you've got issues with your knees, but you still fancy a sports car, or you know there's an amputation, something like that. I get that. I get that you still want to drive your Porsche. That's fine. I totally understand that. However, if you're a sporting driver that likes a manual gearbox, I'd totally go with the 6-speed. The reason why is because the Tiptronic gearbox is a 5-speed gearbox. So you've got one ratio less. As a result, the ratios between first and second, second to third, third to fourth, fourth to fifth are quite wide. That blunts performance. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it again, a gearbox makes or breaks a car. A car with a wide ratio gearbox is not fun in terms of a sports car. A proper sports car should have a close ratio, nicely stacked gearbox. Close ratios, second to third, third to fourth, without the revs dropping too much. So you're on the power easily from each gear change to each gear change. That's my personal opinion. Having driven Tiptronics, I mean, if all you want to do is drive around, you know, like on Route 66 or something like that, it's probably okay. I would argue perhaps it's not the right car. They're good fun in the bends and B roads, tracks, things like that. You want to add an element of fun to it. If all you're doing is driving on highways, doing 55 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour on the motorway, you never really take it down a back road, you never take it to a track. I suppose a Tiptronic makes a bit of sense, but kind of it's a bit of a waste of the opportunity of having a Porsche 911. I don't think you're getting the full experience of going through the gears, you know, sort of blipping the throttle as you go down a gear, you know, that adjustability around bends, and being in a better gear ratio for the speed that you're doing. Whereas the Tiptronic, with the less ratios, the wide ratios, it blunts performance. That's my opinion. So yeah, just this was just like a little sort of tip on what to do in terms of like whether you want a Porsche 911 or not, what to expect. What more can I add? I think we've kind of covered everything. The 996 turbos, in terms of resale value, are probably the ones to look out for. They will keep their money well. Again, as I mentioned, I'm not really going into the GT3 because that's a whole element into itself. But the turbo will keep its money, I think, particularly the manual gearbox 996 turbos. While they're heavy, they can be tuned well and they can be very fast, so I would go for that if you can. It will hold its money, and yeah, they are a blast, so it's fair enough if you want to go for that. They also have the more reliable engine, which is another factor to consider. Again, that's where you need to go into your own research and look into the different engines between them. The 3.4 996 is arguably maybe a bit more of a reliable, more reliable engine, but at only 300 horsepower, is it enough grunt? Maybe, maybe not. If you take a bit of weight out of it, yeah. Again, that's up to you. I hope that the video has helped a little bit. If there's anything you would like to know specifically, drop a comment. If you haven't liked the video, that's fine. It's okay to have an opinion. We're in a world where people get shut down for having opinions. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion. Do your own thing. It's fine. If you want to say, you know, I didn't enjoy that video, that's fine. That's okay. I don't mind. However, if you have liked it, please consider liking and subscribing. It would hugely help my my new channel starting up. We're nice and fresh. We're only like about a month or two old really at this point. So any subscriptions really would help the channel greatly. I would say thank you for that. I will be doing more videos actually on 996s. I'm going to do a walk around on my own 996 Carrera 4S next week. So if you're interested in 996 content, I'm going to go into a bit more detail of 996s, common things that can go wrong, my experience of Carrera 4S, and show you around my actual car, which would be quite nice to do. I'm in the middle of putting a window regulator in that car right now, so we've got like a door card on the floor down here. I've got a window regulator on the floor in the garage, you know, so it's not quite ready for me to show you around. But next week, hopefully I'll be able to show you around the car, see what you think, sort of thing. You know, I like it, but it isn't an ultimate sports car, like I mentioned before. Don't think of them at this point in their production. The 996, 911 is not an ultimate production sports car, in my opinion. It's good fun, no doubt, and they could be made quick, but I wouldn't say they're at the pinnacle just yet. So yeah, that's it. I hope there's still some people at the end of this video, because I know it's gone on for a little while, but thank you very much for watching, and more videos coming soon.